Dwarkesh and Feifei Lee. Cool thing in San Francisco. Thank God for doing safe journeys. Uh, Last minute, I got to register for a Dwarkesh and Feifei Lee panel, which is something I've been waiting for a while. Like I thought it was happening in June. Turns out it's happening in July. I was like, okay, let's go. So I'll watch the video, and then turns out it's not even a video. It's like an event in San Francisco. I was like, oh dang, I guess I can't go. But then getting to YC Startup School last minute, I was like, oh dang, I'm gonna be in San Francisco. What's going on today while I'm in San Francisco? The panel register on the wait list. I'm like, dang, I really, really want to go. I DM the founder of the company hosting the thing. I think he got me in because like he tweeted back to me. I was like, yeah, you're welcome. I was like, dang, thank you. I really appreciate it. Because like, faithfully, it's a big inspiration for my work and Stereo Labs as a whole. Let's get to it though. Panel, really amazing. I think the word catch it is anyone who's ever complimented his work as an interviewer has always been understated, right? Because like he's just so good at it. And it's not even a thing where it's like he's fluent, all his enunciation is amazing. Like it's more so the way he asks questions and the way he digs is very, very good. You can see my work. Like there's times where he stutters, right? I was like, oh dang. And this is something I've really been thinking about when it comes to speaking. It's like does stuttering negatively impact the impact of a speech, but I don't think so. And he's just so good at it. The whole thing, there's a lot of notes I probably missed. 'Cause I didn't take notes. I was just lost in the moment of being of getting to witness such an interview. Um, but the whole thing was really more so an interview of Feifei Lee as the godmother of AI. I would say it was less of her as the founder or the co-founder of World Labs. And this is something before because I really it bugs me a lot. I don't want it to plague the whole video, so I'll just get out of the way now. I think the biggest issue I have with a lot of Feifei Lee interviews, as someone who really loves her work, is that it always focuses on the research aspect of her. Like, it's not even like the current work she's doing. It just focuses on, oh, you did ImageNet, and this was very amazing. What do you think about the history of AI? And that's obviously something that very few people can offer in terms of their insights. But it's also something where it's like, how many times do you guys go over the same questions? And it does get tiring, right? I don't think the panel had like past questions I've seen before, but it's like she's doing something right now where it's like very few people are doing. So why not dig into that? Why not dig into what she thinks will happen, or what she sees the difficulties being? Because Gaussian plots, even like as a means for warp models, I think really I want to say she's the only one, or World Labs is the only one who's really done that as their main thing. I know Tensor Helium 3D had Gaussian splats, but it's like only like as a side project from what I've seen. So that's something I really wish the interview had more of. But for overall, it was really great. I think a lot of my favorite insights were to see how she saw the past of AI research and the current, and something that's been really interesting that from her insights and the other professors who I've worked with who have been in this space for a very long time is that the solutions for the current problems have existed for a long time now. It's just to apply them. Um, and that's specifically for two reasons. One is because like if you look at like like the past of like AI or even computer vision, a lot of the stuff that we see as even Gaussian splats are really just an iteration or a refinement, a reform of something way long ago. Right. And it's like that's very cool because like there's so much breadth out there. But on the second point though, it does give LLMs a bigger solution space because now it's not just a matter of no, it's not just a matter of oh like the LLM has to figure out new knowledge, that's create new knowledge, but it's a matter of like the answers really exist, right? It's just a matter of mixing and matching. Right. I think that's where LLMs really do exist. I think that's why I always get iffy when people say LLMs can't create new knowledge because I do feel like mixing and matching is its own new knowledge of sorts. But there was a point where she brought up where her and Terrence Tao, if I could say his last name wrong, but they were talking about LLMs and AI and the discovery of math or figuring out math for the most part. I think the question that she posed to him was, how much of math do you think LLMs are going to figure out in the next 5 years or so? I think he said like 5%. And he said the issue is that there's a lot of breadth and like the whole mix and matching thing. But then fundamentally, when it gets to stuff that outside of their training data, and when it comes to stuff like no human answers or no human solutions for this exist yet, then can LLMs figure out the answer? And my thing is like I feel like that's I don't know because like if you get to the core of math, right? I do think at given enough time, you can figure out math because if the whole idea of math is like it's discovery, if that's how you believe it, then like I do think there's a means for AI to do the same, right? Because it's not like we're going into a cave and we have to like make new map. Like we have to get like even then it's like if you're going to a cave, it's discovery still. Um, but that was the idea. I do think that's an interesting thing to me because it also does back to the question, especially with the work I'm doing in physics, is that there's so much of physics we don't know. So it's like even with the whole idea of recreation of fire or just like physics models that understand physics, what does that mean? Because like we don't understand physics. We even know what it means to understand physics fully, and it seems like we do, but no, we actually don't. Um, I think that's something that it does pose a big existential question for the lab, um and how do you build intuitive physics if you don't know what physics is, right? I think that's something where I'm not going to make me pause in my tracks and say, hey, let's just pause our work, but something I'm going to keep at the forefront of my mind because maybe a solution exists in answering that question, right? And if that solution exists, maybe it's in a different architecture than we've been pursuing. The whole industry has been using for warp models. Because I really do think right now, and this goes into my second thing I thought was interesting. I really do think right now, uh, we're just we're squeezing certain architectures to the max and saying like, okay, how far can we get with this, which is a bad idea. The second thing faithfully pointed out was earlier in near ImageNet, and I think I forget what Jeffrey Hinton did, and that's my bad. I feel like I'm warping. Um, there was not even before that actually in like the 2000s there was kind of like this AI winter, and what she had explained was that what was happening is that people are really just take pushing current stuff to the max, like to the brim, and we're really like bringing new ideas, new architectures. um I think that's how I certainly feel about certain architectures now. I do think they scale, but in terms of world models, I don't think any architecture I've seen is really going to bring about the whole idea of intuitive physics or even generalist robots, right? I don't think I see. I think that's like I'm not saying it's not going to be built. I don't think. I think, in my opinion, by 28 we'll probably have the architecture. So hopefully, Star Labs, I guess, is there. Um, in saying that though, she did seem really confident in the whole big data thing because what she said before was that the issue on hand was now no longer just like architecture, but it was like we did have enough data, but now it seems that we Terrence Tyler even said this. I feel like I'm regurgitating him, which is what she said actually. That she feels like she's trying not to regurgitate him, but his whole thing is like we've gone from scarcity to obesity, and I do think that's true because the current bet right now is like if you give more data, you get the answer. I don't know if that's right because like at a certain point, it's like you're giving more data than a human gets. But also, she made this really good point where it's like at certain points, the analogies of life and mechanics, robots and human, they differ because. Think about aerodynamics. It applies to both birds and planes, but then birds internally don't operate the same way planes do, and planes the same way birds do. And it's like at a certain point, it's differentiating. And that was also her idea about the whole big data thing. Do I think that's correct? I feel like I feel like it's rude if I say no because I don't think it's correct. But I also do think there's a certain there's a certain amount of knowledge I have to acquire right before I can confidently say that. But I don't think the answer should just be in like data right. I do think data is really important, good quality data as well. But I also do think at a certain point when does it become a matter of like maybe this is just a better architecture to work with less data, right? Because like that's the hope at least. But honestly, amazing to read. There's probably stuff I'm forgetting. There was a whole thing about how AI's gone from less of a how much time do I have left? That's a lot. That's like a long video. But it's a whole thing of where AI has gone from less of an individual thing to more of a team thing. Because to actually push the field forward, it's no longer just about stuff that are incremental. You have to actually really work with a system, and working with a system means a team effort, which has been really cool to see. Um, and it is weird because like okay, she made a good point, where she was like this stuff that could have been like a nearest paper like maybe 2015. That's like just like that's one of just the stuff where it's like not if you do as a frontier lab, it's not just like oh let's go do a nearest paper. It's like let's push this and let's actually get more value out of it. Um, so that's something that did make me question like even my work now. It's like do I think I'm struggling to even get to the level of like oh I think this is a good CVP or submission. So it's like there's clearly that big of a gap. But even like her points on teams really does really make me think more about like how much can I like scale this? Like I really do think I need more people. I think like I told my the other person in the team, I think right now when it comes to other frontier labs, we should at a disadvantage, right? And there's no advantage in being at a disadvantage because not like they have more experienced people, they have more people, they have more money. So why not just get more people? At least if we can do one thing to help us close that gap in any sort of way, why not do that? Um, but yeah, I'm sure there's probably stuff I'm forgetting, but I really did love it. Right. The only thing I didn't love was that they didn't talk about World Labs. And I think there was points in the thing where it was like maybe it was intentional because Dorcas, I think from seeing his interviews, he's a very intentional interviewer and he doesn't let stuff slide usually. So to see that he didn't really talk, like he even said like, "Oh, what you guys work on?" Because there was really a question where she was like, "Oh yeah," and even the work we're doing at World Labs, is amazing work. We're like exploring architectures or models that people have not seen. That's like a whole thing. Like, how do you even work in this thing? Because no one's really built a model like this. That was a perfect layer for like what are you guys really doing behind the scenes? Because really, the architecture for their world model Marble is in like they don't even like explain the architecture behind it from last I checked. But also the second half of the panel, I'm going to try and keep this quick, was the founder of OS Works, I think that's the company, and that was the company that was hosting the whole panel. The founder of OS Works was interviewing Dorcas, and Dorcas is just amazing because like he's just a good interviewer, and he was going to the whole idea of what Dorcas sees as the future of AI and how he goes about his interviews and how he digs for questions, how he finds people to interview. Really, really amazing stuff. I think like just because initially I felt bad because I will be honest, when Feifei Lee left after her panel, I went to go and see if I could run into her and to get a picture, ask some questions. I didn't see her, but I felt bad because like initially I was thinking, okay, which one do I think is more valuable? An interaction with Feifei Lee or watching Dwarkesh's panel? But after watching the rest of the panel, I do think Dwarkesh's panel was very well worth it. He has so many good, well thought takes. Because he's one, he gets a lot of insight from all of the great people he's talked to. But two, the way he goes about thinking, the way he goes about researching is very, very intentional. It's very, very thorough. So his thought process is very sound. Um, but also just amazing. All in all, I really just like if there was one thing San Francisco I loved today, it was this event. The other stuff, maybe not so much, but that's a whole other thing. But this event was really, really amazing. So really want to take their insights and implement it, especially from Feifei Lee, but also even Dorcas' thoughts about the future of AI and what that looks like. I'm really, really curious to even think about it more from how can we make sure that people aren't so antagonistic to AI in terms of the communication that AI companies and AI researchers have with the general public to what does the future of AI look like with open weight models? Is this something where AI becomes much more restricted and it's only accessible for a few? A bunch of amazing things. Overall, though, besides that, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.